Sometimes I've found myself in a situation where there is no location on a wall to put a thermostat. Usually, in that situation, we resort to running a temperature sensor in the ceiling to the return grill. For this particular job, I had two VAV boxes that actually shared the same return air grill. At this point, I could have ran two dedicated return air sensors to the same location, one for each VAV box. There would technically be nothing wrong with that, and that would work. Now, that would require me running two wires to two different boxes, causing me a little bit of time, but it's not the end of the world. But there is a better option where we can run one single return air sensor and actually share that value over the MSTP trunk via peer-to-peer. So I'm going to refer to the controller with the actual return air temperature sensor actually physically located to it as the master, and the one that we're going to send the information over the network as the slave. So first thing I'm doing here is I'm getting rid of, or actually I am adding my return air temperature sensor to my application just by clicking on the plus for the inputs and then searching in return air. I used a 1K platinum in this regard. Yep, RTD. Next, I'm going to assign that return air sensor to an input. And it looks like I put it on UI2 here. So this is the master controller. So this is the one with the actual sensor ran to it. So what we're going to do now is look at all of the connections that are connected to the ZN-T or the thermostat. And we're going to basically change that connection from ZNT to RA-T. And there's about, I think, 5 or 6 different locations we have to go in and change this. But if you click on ZNT and then you click the connections tab in the bottom, you'll see on the right-hand side where it says block right now. If you click those, you can go and you can break those connections and then change them to return air temperature. And I'm just going to do this for a couple more. Basically, all I'm doing is basically adding a return air sensor and then telling all the programming to look at the return air sensor instead of the zone temperature sensor. Looks like I got one more left. Right click it, change connection. Instead of ZNT, we're going to click return air-T or RA-T. All right, at this point, we shouldn't need our zone temperature anymore. So I think I'm going to be deleting that out. Yes. Yep, you're going to check yes. And after you close this, you should see that your zone temperature was removed. Yep. I'm going to go ahead and save my controller. I decided to update the name since it's not really a zone temperature set point anymore. It's really a return air temperature set point. So I went in ahead and renamed the zone temperature set point and the description. Clicked apply. Just saving it one more time. I'm just calling it master controller here, but you would obviously put your VAV controller name in there. Okay, so here I have opened up my second controller application, or my slave controller application. I'm going to go ahead and add a network input. That's an input float. I'm going to scroll down till I find it right there. I'm going to rename this return error-t. And I think oh, and I'm going to go ahead and change the units to degrees Fahrenheit. It's probably best practice. And then we're going to change our pure reference here, our object identifier, to AI. And now we're going to need some information from the master controller. So if we go back to that, see where I circled there, object identifier? When you open up your return error-t, you're going to look for the object identifier, and you're going to look for the instance number of that controller, of the master controller. So instance number of the master controller, there we go. I just put it in right there. And the object identifier is 278100. There you go. And then you're going to click apply. And now we're going to do the exact same thing we did with, the master controller. We're going to basically break the connections that are looking at zone temperature and redirect them to this RA-T network input. When you do break each of these connections, you'll find that the connection is actually at the bottom of the list because it's a network input, as you can see here. So we're just going to go through and do all of these. And that seems to be the last one. I'm going to go ahead and save my slave application here. Oh, I'm going to delete my zone temperature sensor first, actually. As you'll see, that deletes the zone temperature. And now I'm going to save it as my new slave controller application. Boom, and that should be it. And now you should be able to download both applications to the controllers. And now both of your VAV controllers will be reading off of the same temperature sensor.